This episode of the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast was filmed before a live studio audience. Well, hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 205. I am the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty, and I hope you guys are all having a great day. So, it is Thursday, January the something or other, January the 9th. Okay, 21 days from my birthday. God, I'm old. So, anyways, just wanted to touch base with you guys and stuff like that. Got some great numbers to go over. Got a whole bunch of real estate news, whole bunch of good things going on. So let's start at the top and get this out of the way because I'm also having a very busy day. So, for where to begin? Biggest dramas we got going on this week is I was telling you guys about PAR and NAR and their little feud and stuff like that. We're still trying to figure out whether or not, we want to stick with one or the other, and I think we've come to a resolution on that. But with the new year and everything, a lot of surveys are coming in, a lot of national news is starting to hit. We are still looking at some of the lowest transaction levels since 2009. Some say going back to 1995. Here in Phoenix, it's going back to 2009. Our contract ratios are way off. Houses are sitting on the market, and a bunch of them came back on after the holidays. I remember me telling you that people take their houses off on the holidays. They decide, hey, we're just not doing this, and then they put them right back on with a new agent. Like here at ProStar, me and Jessica got a condo listing that had been on the market for like 200 days, and they dropped it over the holidays. We picked it up 8 days under contract. Hopefully we get this thing closed, right? How did we do that? Exposure, proper pricing, right? And that's a conversation. And that's also, I know that client isn't going to listen to this episode or anything like that because I'm sure as hell not going to tell them that this video exists. But, I think there's a pretty good chance, having talked to the previous brokerage who had the previous listing, they might have been telling him a whole bunch of stuff that they just weren't listening. He wasn't listening to. That happens a lot. Hey, you need to be at this price. Oh, I want to be at this price. Or you really need to be at this price. Okay, well, let's just try my price. And then you go forever at the seller's price, not the agent's price, and they can't figure out why the house didn't sell at their price. It's because you overpriced it, right? Number one thing in any market: properly price the property. All right. Hey, the 3 P's: properly price the property. All right. And you guys thought it was location. So, with that kicking off, our inventory did pick back up, and you guys know what's coming. Here comes the numbers. All right. So, still trying to figure out these new controls. All right. So, actives this week for January 8th. This is what happens when I'm rushed, January 8th, 2025, actives this week are 20,176, up 736 from the previous week. Our new listings are 1,988. That is up 1,047 from last week. This is everybody coming back on and everybody that was getting ready to put their house on the market at the beginning of the new year. Contracts went up too, 1,623, 443. Those are the people who've decided, I do not want to look at houses until after the new year. Closings were 886 because, hey, it's the beginning of the new year. Everybody tried to get their stuff out of the way. But coming soon to an MLS near you is 624. At the bottom, look at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, 91.1. Okay, we are back into a balanced market. We are out of the buyer's market. But, and this is a big but, remember, during this time of the year, the numbers are all over the place because we're being heavily impacted by seasonality. We can see that start to correct back down, but that's the initial surge. Demand went up to 76.7 from 76.6, right? More people are looking. Supply, we're at 84.1. Also started going up, but remember, it's the ratio gives us a 91.1. So, our happy days here again? Nope. We're still working through through the seasonality, which is why we can't also believe in this chart, because this shows everybody's gaining to the seller side except for Maricopa and Surprise. Those are the only two numbers I would actually trust, and I'd even say those probably aren't bad enough. All right. Meanwhile, Buckeye, Good, Queen Creek, Goodyear, everybody's showing gains, right? But where are the buyers' markets? I want you to look at this split between Peoria and 99.8, which is about as close to a balanced market as you can call it. 100 is a perfect balanced market. All right. And then the next one below that, Goodyear at 75, which is about 15 points off of what could be seen about a market. So we're talking tranches here. We're talking different tiers. All right. Almost like the United Kingdom's judicial system. We have different tiers going on here. All right. So Goodyear, Surprise, Queen Creek, Maricopa, and Buckeye, those are still and always will be for quite some time your buyer's market, your balance market right here. We're looking at Peoria, Mesa, Cave Creek, and then everybody else is still technically a seller's market, with Chandler leading the pack at 154.1. All right. Showing Paradise Valley, rich people, we don't care. 30% growth over this time last month, right? But seasonality, everything else, really can't trust these numbers. All right. So what's been going on in my neck of the woods? Well, Redfin had a new survey, and this is the kind of survey that makes you suddenly want to decide maybe you don't want to be in real estate anymore. They surveyed homeowners, the haves, all right, and to see how interested they were in selling. 34% of homeowners, people who have their names on a deed, all right, claim they will never sell their home. Cold dead hands, baby. 34% of the inventory out there is off the market by these guys' measures for good, all right, or until they die. All right. After that, 27% say they wouldn't consider selling for at least 10 years. All right. So we take 34, add it to 37, and we are looking at easily, wow, 61%. All right, say they're not selling in the next 10 years. My math work out only? Yeah, 61%. 61% of current homeowners are not intending on selling their house in the next 10 years. Now, if you heard that sudden gasp from the audience, that was Omar on the other side. Now he's suddenly second guessing his career choices. All right, we're going to be covering that in training later on in the day. But and then they broke it down. But 1/4, 24%, do plan on selling in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, 8% in the next 3 to 5, and 7% within the next 3 years. This is a very, very smaller market when it comes to people getting ready to sell. Now, but you say, Ray, we've been talking for years now, and you always said that per population and everything like that, our active should be around 24, 25,000. Where are all these houses if only 7% of the nation wants to sell their house? All right, how does that work out? Well, remember, we have a lot of pent-up demand and a bunch of pent-up selling demand. All right, is these active listings that we have right here, all that carry over from people not buying, and these just keep piling on a pile that nobody's picking out of. All right, when we see this active start settling down, all right, what these numbers are telling me is that we're never going to see 24, 25, right? Unless we have another bank crash or anything like that. And there's a reason to believe something crazy might be happening that down the near future. But definitely, if you're out there from a real estate standpoint, you really smaller market to compete with other agents in. Other things that was really interesting with the age demographics, older homeowners are more likely than their younger counterparts to say they'll never sell, which is unusual. Usually we have people downsizing. All right. More than 2 of every 5 baby boomers, that's 43% of them, homers say they'll never sell. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. All right. Compared to 34% of Generation X, that's me and my sister, and 28% of Millennial and Gen Z owners. So 28% of Millennial Gen Z owners understand that they're eventually going to need to get a new house. All right. But maybe that 28%, they were in the position where they bought the 4 or 5 bedroom house as their first house. They didn't go the starter home route. They didn't find the little 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow. So, and for the reasons, 39% it was because their home was almost or completely paid off. All right. 37% stated they like their home and have no reason to move, but nearly 1/3, and I'm going to assume that they allowed multiple answers to this, of respondents say they are staying in their current home because today's home prices are too high, and 18% did not want to give up their low mortgage rate. All right, so if you are a buyer out there and you're looking to find a house, this is strongly suggests start looking at the new builds and going that route. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So at the state level, our new little bit of drama that we got going on is we're still having that argument between MLS Choice, which is being offered by the Phoenix Association of Realtors, and Armless, which we've been using for forever, and that conversation between NAR telling PAR, hey guys, get on the right script. Literally don't know how this one's going to roll out. Okay, this is very inside baseball. It's probably way past what you guys might even be considering of. What does this mean to you, the consumer? Probably not a lot, all right? Unless they start coming up with MLS Choice is a completely different MLS with completely different exposure. You as a seller might want to consider talking to your agent going, hey, which MLS are you going to list this on? Right. There's been competitors to MLS for quite some time trying to make their space out there, and maybe we'll actually see the holy of holies, a national MLS, where I, as a Phoenix real estate agent, can help a friend in Seattle, not licensed to work in Washington, but I could help you find a house and point you in the right direction. I could do that already, but I can't see the Seattle MLS. I got to go on Zillow like everybody else. So it'd be really interesting from that kind of standpoint if I'm helping a seller sell here in Phoenix and they're moving to Kent, Washington, use an example, and I could sit there and look at the properties in Kent, Washington, and then coordinate with the listing agent that you are going to come out and look at it and get a referral fee on that side because I found the house and sent it to you. Kick me a little love over here. So interesting theory on that, but churning. We'll see how that turns out. Other things. Anybody watch the news lately? Anybody see those pictures coming out of LA with the fires? There's a lot of real estate. Well, one going up in smoke, but there's a lot of real estate story that's going on in that. Ironically enough, so there I am, Tuesday night, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm obsessive that way. I have 4 different browser windows going all about LA. I know more about LA geography than I ever wanted to know. I have YouTube with a live feed from some guy who's doing, real-time reporting, and he's listening to fire department scanners, and he's calling up the map on his screen on Google Maps. And if that ever happens here in Phoenix, I will be doing the same thing on this channel. Just lock it in because it was cool. But so he would listen to the fire department scanner. They would mention an address. He would go on Google Earth and call up the street view of that. And so you really were getting a feel of what was going on in that area, in Pasadena and the Palisades area and Malibu. But what really caught my ears, because I'm just half listening to this, and it sounded like listening to a war. I have some experience of listening to a war on the radio. And you're hearing command talk to rescue units, and they're trying to form defensive lines, and their defensive lines are just crashing, and they're falling back to a new defensible position. And then they find out, hey, we don't have any water at these hydrants either, and they're falling back again. Now, for people who are saying, oh no, that's a lie, that didn't actually happen, I was literally listening to the fire department say that on the radio through YouTube, right? And they were straight up saying, now, the reason why they were getting no water at that particular hydrant, there's various competing stories on that, and unfortunately it's gone political, so we'll never know the truth, right? But at that moment in time, all right, that fire pumper truck was at that hydrant, plugged the hoses in, and nothing came out. Right? That's an indisputable fact. Right? And why do I say these along these ways? Because as you're listening to the fire, in one of those weird little bits of serendipity, 2 days prior to that, I was watching a video talk about fire insurance in LA, in California in particular, and how bad the fire insurance market is in California because of things that have happened in California over the last 2 years. All right. What does this mean to you, the Arizona consumer? Well, in another little strange serendipity of Ray life that, I happen to have signed up for a continuing education class for yesterday from 1 to 4. All right. And we're covering 3 different modules in a 3-hour period. And one of them was something called Firewise. And a lot of the topics that came up in that video that I watched on Monday was covered in the class that I took yesterday. And I'm going to cover some of these things for you because this will help you out as one of my consumers and just a general consumer. And in fact, I might do like a spam blast to my entire Rolodex going, hey guys, I want you to be aware of this. All right. But let's talk about the first topic we talked about. It was a weird hybrid class. And the reason why it was a weird hybrid class is normally you have one subject for the whole 3 hours. Arizona Department of Real Estate decided they want to take one of my 6 general, credit hours, all right, and take 3 of them away from me. And those are the credit hours I get to take what I want because I'm not being assigned. I have to take a fair housing class in those 3-hour period. I can take whatever I want. I see something weird, it's like, hey, that looks like a fun class that I just want to take for my own personal edification, and I get to knock off my generals. That's the kind of stuff. It's a real estate equivalent of taking underwater basket weaving. All right, so I took this class, and we talked about deed fraud, we talked about Firewise, and we talked about Arizona water. All right, just for the record, I could have taught the Arizona water class. All right, I don't know why the Department of Arizona Real Estate thinks that we, the real estate agents, need to know about these water issues. But they're trying to communicate to the populace, and because they have control over 65,000 Arizonans who have real estate licenses, they can force us to become the advocates for water. All right, your bureaucracy at work. But I took the class, all right? But first one that we talked about was deed fraud. Now, if you spend any time online, you have had Megan Kelly or somebody else like that talk to you about deed fraud, all right? And to sign up with her advertisers, and they will help protect your house from deed fraud. So I was not too concerned about this because I know all the checks and balances to make sure that that doesn't happen, all right? I know how notaries have to look at your ID, they have to notarize a document, they have to do things. I know that escrow officers verify that the person who's signing the paper is actually the person who's allowed to sign it. And the class had a really great example of an escrow officer who did exactly what we've been trying to tell people to do, all right? She had been in contact with every party in the transaction. She had talked to the seller. She had talked to the buyer's agent, seller's agent, loan officer. She had talked to everybody. And so when somebody called in randomly and said, hi, I'm the seller of 123 Anywhere Lane, I just want to confirm where my funds are going to go. She did not recognize the voice of the seller as being the person she had talked to before. All right, so she said, okay, let me get that file. She put them on hold, and she ran and she told her branch manager. Branch manager said, stall them. All right, so she goes back, starts doing the conversation with them. Branch manager calls the Department of Real Estate and the police department. All right, and I want to know who this title company is. Guarantee I know a couple that it wasn't. That they set up a sting operation on Mr. Fake Seller. And when Mr. Fake Seller came in, hey, guess what? We get to close early. Da 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 da. You okay with it? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, we'll come and we'll have you sign. We'll get you a check right here. When they came in, it was like to catch a predator. All right, they come in, introduce themselves as being that person. The room was freaking wired, and then the cops come out and arrest this guy. Winning. All right, so, but this is part of how it's starting to happen here, because this is how these, and it's not just random people. I mean, these are becoming very sophisticated Eastern European, read Russian, crime syndicates who are coming up with very professional ways to take control of your house by falsely recording warranty deeds or quitclaim deeds, all right, and then selling your house. All right, we have the example of somebody drives by a lot, sees a for sale sign on it, go, that's my dad's lot. Call up dad. Dad, why are you selling the lot? I'm not selling the lot. Find out that somebody had filed a fake deed. Many years ago, back in the 90s when I was living in Salt Lake, there was a person who was taking out loans on their property and then filing fake reconveyance deeds on it to sell title that, hey, this has been paid off. It was never paid off, but they did that 4 or 5 or 6 times, right? And so title's just looking at, here's a deed of trust, and here's the reconveyance. Here's a mortgage, here's the note, here's the reconveyance. Reconveyance is the document that says that's been paid off, right? Did that 7 or 8 times before they finally got caught. So what I want you, my viewers, right, if you're a landed gentry like me, right, I want you to go to this particular site right here, or just type into Google Maricopa Title Alert. You can go here and just simply put in your name. If anything records with your name on it, in my case, Charles Dawson, right, I'm going to get an email saying somebody just recorded something with the name of Charles Dawson on it. Right? Being able to come back and say, wait a minute, that's not my deed. I did not sell my house. All right, and starting the stop right there that second will save you a lot of money. Because what's going to happen in the real world is when the guy with the bare land, okay, his son drove by, that guy had to hire an attorney, and it took months to claw that back with a quiet title, right? And those attorneys do not work for free. So this site right here, if you're from another state and you're watching this thing, you might want to check to see if your county has this kind of service. But hopefully that right there is going to be worth the price of admission to watch this video. That, and it'll be in the show notes below if you're more of a cut and paste kind of guy. All right, so deed fraud, it's a thing. Other thing we talked about, a system called Firewise, okay? And Firewise is, there are like 100, did I write that down? There's like 158 different communities here in Arizona that are considered Firewise communities. These are communities that when they were built from the ground up, in the CCNRs and in the plans, they make the neighborhood harder to burn down. Right? They'll limit the amount of trees. They'll limit where the trees are. When the HOA comes by and says your tree's overgrown, they're, instead of just going, I don't like the way that looks, they're more saying, hey, we're a Firewise neighborhood, and that tree growing over your roof like that is a fire hazard for everybody. A lot of people think Arizona is just all desert. We do have a lot of forests, and we'll cover that in just a little bit. But big thing on this Firewise that they also covered is, hey, if you do not have a go bag in your house, and what a go bag is the bag you need to get out of this house right now. Right? Fire department, police is knocking on the door. Something's going on. That's the bag you grab that you can go live 3 days out of. Google go bag. Start learning about it. You could buy one, or it'd be better just put one together. The time to have one of those things is before you start seeing the orange glow on the other side of the ridge. All right. Other thing along this line, this is part of what's going on in California, is check your insurance for coverage. Call your insurance company up and confirm, do I have wildfire coverage? All right. Some insurance companies will not. Just like in Florida, some companies don't have won't issue hurricane insurance anymore. Florida is having a really hard time right now because lenders won't lend unless you have hurricane insurance, and insurance companies won't issue you hurricane insurance if you're in certain areas. All right. Insurance is going to be a really, really big thing in 2025. This is going to be a big subject. So what's going on in California? So the video that I watched on Monday about the insurance issue in California, and I've done some research to back it up, is back in 2023, just like in a lot of other states, including our state, the insurance companies approached the California Insurance Commission and said, we need to raise our rates. Right? We're charging $1,000 a year. We need to raise that because it's literally more expensive to build the house after it's burned down to the ground. It costs more. All right. We are on the line for more and more money now. And because of inflation costs and the cost of rebuilding, all right, we cannot afford to issue insurance policies on these property. We need to be able to raise the rate to make it financially viable. California told, no, you ain't doing that. No, you got to offer the policy to those at the price. You're not getting a new rate, right? And because we're the great state of California and you are State Farm. Screw you, State Farm. So State Farm said, screw that. And they took their ball and went home. Like they literally left. All right. And a whole bunch of people, including, I've seen numbers like 1,900 houses in the Palisades, all got letters saying, we're no longer covering you. You need to go find another insurance company. And apparently California has their own insurance policy in place. If you can't get insurance anywhere else and you qualify through jumping through the hoops, you can buy your insurance from California, but it's at a much, much higher than market rate. Ironically enough, I don't want to buy big evil insurance company insurance. I'll just get mine from the state, and the state costs more. Go figure. So unfortunately, for a lot of people in California, especially the ones who had their house paid off and they didn't have a lender who was making it a requirement that they have insurance, they didn't get insurance. Right? Even then, the insurance that they might have had a carve out saying this does not cover wildfire damage. Sort of like flood damage that we were talking to a while ago. Storm damage. All right. If you call it flood damage, insurance pays out one way. If it's storm damage, it pays out another way. So you really want to figure out how to describe to the claims adjuster how your basement got flooded. Because if it was due to the tidal rise from the hurricane, they might not pay you. But if you can say, during the evacuation, that pipe broke and flooded the basement, you might want to get creative with a hammer before the insurance guy shows up. Just saying, No, I didn't say that. That was a joke. Joke. Prank caller. So these are the things that was going on with that. So with the Firewise training and class and everything like this, how to build defensible space. So let me use a hypothetical, not really example of what I'm describing. Let's say you have a stick-built house. All right, that means you got 2x4s in the walls, not brick, 2x4s. You have a shingle roof. And let's say you're at top of a hill. Okay, and at the bottom of that hill, let's say we have a freeway. Let's call it U.S. Highway 98. Okay, U.S. Highway 98, when you moved in, was a little 4-lane road. Right, and since then, it has turned into 6 lanes, both wide, divided highway. Right. And let's say you go all the way up that hill from where that freeway was. Okay. And you have scrub brush, scrub oak, just the brambly stuff that grows up on, hills in general. And then at the top of the hill, you have your house. Okay. You need to have what's called defensible space. You should not have any trees, okay, where the crowns of the trees are within a certain distance away from your house, right? And you can look up Firewise online and they will start showing this. So you want to have your trees cut back a certain way, right? Then after that, you want to have those trees not directly touching each other where the branches are growing in. And then on top of that, you can start spreading out. But basically what you want to do is you want to have your house at some point when the fire department rolls up and they're looking at a line of houses, they look at yours and go, that one we can save. Right, these guys are screwed. Okay, look at that. They got the oak trees right, going right over their house and stuff like that. Look, they got brush and everything around there. All right. And there are various things you can also water that area. You can also just put a fire break in the back of your lot line. Like knock down 10 feet in either direction off your lot line, especially if you're like bordering state land or whatever land on the back side. So these are the things, like I said, that's the chains from a truck throwing sparks in the summertime on Highway 98. Starts a little brush fire. Maybe you got winds coming out of a canyon. Can blow that fire right up the top of your onto your house, and it can go up there really quick. That LA fire was going 500 yards a minute. I'm pretty sure, knowing my listeners that I know of, none of us can run 500 yards in a minute. Okay, it was coming at you faster than you can run. All right, and figure 500 yards in a minute, is that enough time for you to get out of the house? Think about that one real quick. So, anyways, this is the firewise. And for everybody who's feeling all smug in Phoenix, Arizona, going, oh, that could not possibly happen here, real quick, I'm going to show you a picture. You tell me where this picture was taken. Anybody know where that's at? That's the Diamond Fire in Scottsdale. Happened in 2023. Okay, that was Scottsdale. It got really close. They're actually saying that it was actually started on a construction site, blew into the shrubbery, kicked off a nice little desert fire. That is the burn scar afterwards. All right. See the houses up here? See the houses down here? See that little black thing right there? I'll guarantee you that was just a parcel that wasn't developed. All right. Firefighters showed up, defended the houses, let the rest burn out. All right. They will try to save your house first. First, they're going to try to save you. All right. Then they'll try to save the house. Right. One of the things listening to the LA fire the other night is that you could tell at a certain point the command just came in and said, we are only doing people. Right. We're not trying to defend structures anymore. We are only rescuing people. Right. And that just told every fighter, fire it out there. Don't even try to put the fire out. Just make sure there's nobody in there and get the hell out. So this one could have potentially been really, really bad. Okay. Same thing. Fires happen here too. You notice how sort of gray-green all that is? Well, we all see the desert when it rains. It's all beautiful. We got the little flowers. We all go out there. We take the photos and stuff like that. And then that kind of stuff happens. So other things that can help you in this kind of stuff, trying to go back and having a defensible space. All right. It is amazing how many people were getting swimming pools to be used. All right. I mean, firefighters, they're literally just going to drop in a hose in, emptying your pool. And hopefully when they empty the pool, they don't find somebody's child or pet down at the bottom because they weren't watching children or pets around water. All right. They probably were going along those lines, work in their circles. Firefighters, great way to network. Okay. And hopefully they didn't drive in anything flooded with fire water. Right. They haven't had any rain like forever, so they probably don't have to worry about that, but you just might. Right. And hopefully this weekend is going to be better for the great state of California than it has been for this week. And I hope the same to you. You guys have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys later.